Thank you.
Got a budget gap to close?
Just a
Yeah,
tiny one.
a little bit.
That's all right. I think we have one.
I remember sliding down last time.
Yeah.
You got a full table now. Look at that.
We have
Oh, she's on that
6,
side?
right?
Yeah, we're gonna make.
Does anybody to leave early?
I'm good.
'Cause it's actually my daughter's birthday, so I'd love to.
All right, it's 5:35 p.m. So the Albany County Land Bank Corporation Board of Directors meeting for May 20th at 5:30 p.m. We are here on live stream, so flow to order. Anthony, Letitia, Caroline, Michelle, Charlie, we have a quorum of 5.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Do we have any public comment?
None were received. That's tab 2.
Item 3 is review and approval of minutes of the prior meeting, which is the April 21st meeting. It's tab 3 in your binder. So moved. Second? You did so move, didn't you?
I think I did.
Yeah.
Second.
Second. And any addition, correction, changes to the minutes of last month?
Yep, there was a correction made to everything here that was communicated to the board ahead of time. We just, really the change was we moved to put the who moved and seconded and then the actual votes into the actual resolutions. And before we did unanimous, and we just want to make it clear.
Fine. Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, minutes accepted. Executive Director's Report.
All right, you got my memo in there on tab 4, but I'll just walk through some of the highlights here. The home buyer fair happened in April, and I can't take any credit for it. The team was there. We did get information from 57 people as potential first-time home buyers.
Actually, Sean, it was 73.
73, even better, even better. All right, we'll amend that. And then Affordable Housing Partnership, maybe that was I don't know, I might have my numbers backwards, but they also had run a lot of people through to qualify them. So those are potential leads for us moving forward. With the executive committee, we did the April financial update, but I'll just give you the top level notes here. We're in sound financial position. We have 3.9 million in liquid bank balances, 5.2 million in total equity, 2 million in committed grant resources. This start of the year, we always, in the beginning of the year, look worse than we do by the end of the year, and that's just because we're so very front-loaded in a lot of our expenses. So right now, our year-to-date deficit is negative $305,000, and that's property holding costs, operating expenses. But that is a shift. That's an improvement over almost 10% from last year. And so the team's discipline on expenses is well noted. The primary area that we just have to keep tabs on is property sales, because with lower inventory, we're at 153 properties in inventory right now. So we don't have the property sales revenue in the past where we were just transacting properties back out. That's okay, because the team has a plan, because we're starting to work on our renovations and updates. And so that's been this whole shift from just taking in properties as a substitute for auction and actually injecting capital back into those and getting those back out as first-time affordable homeownership opportunities. And so we're really making strides there. And the message has been pretty well received. Anytime we've had a chance to talk about it, I'll be sharing that with the Community Preservation Corporation and the Reclaiming Vacant Properties Conference, there's a couple of places we've been asked to come and talk about how we've shifted our approach, because I think some land banks are still struggling.
Sean, what's the breakdown on the 153?
153, you're asking a hard
No, it's okay. No, I don't need it right now. I was
Yeah.
just, if you had
We
it,
have
it was
about
fine.
60 or so available for sale. We have very few that we have title problems with, and we've been clearing those up. In fact, that we have one that's got a title problem in Waterville, but Waterville's interested, and so we're gonna try to work with them to get the quiet title done. And then we've got a bunch of properties that are in the hopper, so we've got demolitions happening. Jason's been working on those in the flip the block area. We signed all the contract with WPNT. We signed the contract with the tree removal company, so those buildings are coming down in due time. And then Jason also finished up the home buyer development grant with the state, and that's another 4 properties that we have programmed to that for rehabs. And then we're working through the rest of them through some staged movement along the way. So we're doing that whole, instead of taking the process where we did in the past, where we just waited and did like one whole property all at once. We're doing building envelopes, we're doing clean outs, we're doing lead and asbestos mitigation. We're taking, through the process. So that way, if there is a developer in the community who is interested in getting in, they might not get in, they might take on a lot of risk for a very low cost to get in. But as we start to mitigate that risk and we start to bring the property more to market, then the price is going to change.
Right.
But it also takes away risk.
Right.
So
Right.
somebody who's getting involved can get in early. So, and I think, Lily, do you know off the top of your head how many we have in the pipeline for closing?
It's gone down significantly in the past couple months. I think it's about 4 properties right now. I have to check to make sure.
Like between 4 to 6.
Yeah, we've been knocking them down left and right. So it's been busy around here. And then the financial statements, they're pretty consistent. I think there was nothing out of the ordinary there. Charlie asked a question about the assets and whether they made up buildings or land, and I just went back to our accountant just because we don't have that recorded in our Monday.com system, but it is in QuickBooks, and I did not go to accounting school to be able to run that report well. I tried to run it today, and we're going to ask her, we're going to talk to her next week in our monthly update to try to get that report into the financial reports too, so we can take a look at that. Because that's, helps us identify, we tend to book things on a conservative level, but last month, for example, we took more losses on the sale of properties. And so it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but something we're going to keep tabs on. And we thought that would just be better to take a look at those values periodically, make sure that they're still appropriate. Real estate operations, 14 dispositions and 6 acquisitions are pending closing back in April. That whole block of properties around Groton and Oliver Avenue off of Crumpkill Road sold as a portfolio. We did sell 34 Second Ave and 42nd Avenue to Mr. Kennedy for $80,000. And Waterville Elite, we at long last closed on the property to the city. That was a little bit of back and forth because initially we approved it to the city, and then the local development corporation was coming in to do that. On the acquisition side, we were successful at auction, and thanks for your trust in our strategy to get those done. We were successful on 6 lots of property, resulting in 8 total properties altogether. So we're going through the due diligence there. And then today we did find out that the Housing Authority has accepted our offers for the properties.
73 and 83 Broad Streets.
Yep, 73 and 83 Broad Street. So we'll have another, be able to build up that cluster in the south and that we're working towards. 79 Elizabeth Street is closed. 30, 32, 34 Albany Street to Habitat, which had been hanging around out there while they got their funding realized and set aside with HCR. That has been done. And so, yeah, so it's been a busy time. You'll see the KPI tables that exist in the report here. A surge in KPI2 for the number of properties sold.
What does KPI mean?
Key performance indicators. Our performance indicators, just our numbers. And you'll see our inventories started out at the beginning year of 173 down to 153 now, which matches up with the 20 that we've sold. South End co-development is rocking and rolling. If you get down there, we try to get down there. I try to get down there every couple of weeks just to get more pictures of progress. Foundations were in, walls are going up. It's been busy down there, so that's a good sign. Nothing new on the Ontario Street project. I think that we're going to talk to Empire State Development about some other programs that could help make that an even more competitive application when it gets reviewed again this year. We'll talk later in the meeting, but the Henry Johnson Boulevard, Clinton Avenue co-development, Clinton Avenue Phase 3 with home leasing. We did get the termination from home leasing, so they're out of that. We did get paid what we were owed in terms of maintenance and legal fees, and they did agree to turn over to us all the pre-development products. So we have all of the files from that. And so the next step is to just get our partners back together and decide, are we going to go back out with that? Is there going to be a change in place? We have so much pre-development work done that the ideal thing would be to package up that project for somebody else and try to find something to close up the gap, because we know there is a little bit of a financial gap there with the additional cleanup costs that have to be done on the former dry cleaning sites there. Because they weren't cleaned up to a housing standard initially, they were cleaned up to a commercial standard, and to get that environmental easement off of it, there has to be more cleanup done. And then flip the block, the demolition pieces have to get done, so that way we can get the application in. So we are moving that application. We're just keeping our drafts up to date so we can get that in place there. We have a meeting with Historic Resource Commissions coming up on 45 2nd Avenue. We've done the additional work there. But they've asked us to take a look at before they would sign off on a demolition. It's not a sure thing that we'll sign off on it, but we think we've done the due diligence necessary to show them that we're really trying to do this the right way, and prove to them that the demolition is the best option there.
Is that in the same block as the other one we have on Second? I thought we had 48, right? Or 47?
We had 48 and 50 across the street that we sold.
Okay.
34 and 40 that we recently sold to Mr. Kennedy. The lot next to 45 2nd Avenue was part of the South End redevelopment. And then we bid it auction the lot behind 45 2nd Ave, because 45 2nd Avenue's lot was just the building itself. There was a vacant lot that sat behind. It was probably in joint ownership at some point, but was no longer. So we'd like to be able to get all that so we can go ahead and do some infill there. And we talked to Stark Albany about this to make sure we understood what their position might be. And we just kept them informed. So that's been a helpful relationship. And then 360 Sheridan Avenue is moving along. Lynette, do you want to add anything on that? Because you've been the one watching that.
Yeah, so the drywall is almost completely finished. We're just waiting for the bathroom vent to be put in so they can close that out. And then the interior prefab stairs were delivered, so we're going to have someone install those. And once they're installed, they're going to close up the sheetrock there. They're going to sand, and then we're ready to paint. I also found out that they can put in the back deck, so I'm going to order the materials there so the students can build the back deck. But we're making a lot of progress. I'm hoping to be finished by the end of June. Yeah.
So is the deck an add-on? We weren't expecting to do a deck in the beginning.
Yeah,
We
it's
were.
part
Oh,
of it.
okay.
Yeah, that's part of
We
it.
thought it would be an important amenity, a bathroom, a door off the kitchen.
Off the kitchen. Okay. Yeah.
Where's it gonna go? A deck is nice.
And then the community engagement front, I think it's about time for us to get out there in the neighborhoods that we've been investing a lot of time in to just check in, let people know what we're doing and make sure that we're still on the right path and that what we're doing matches up with the community's expectations. And so we just, today, I just got the June 17th, we'll be at the Howe branch of the Albany Public Library from 6 p.m. to 7:30. And then the next day on June 18th, we'll be at the Arbor Hill Library from 6 p.m. to 7:30 to do a 90-minute engagement with folks. We'll do about 10 minutes about where we are, about another 10 minutes of where we're going. We'll do about 30 minutes of comment cards and just questions from the audience. And then we're going to get some maps printed up of those neighborhoods and take some Post-it notes and some sticky dots and real old-fashioned analog planning, and ask people to just, with the Post-it notes and the dots, help us understand what they're looking for, or even where there's, some challenges in the neighborhood that we might be able to solve. We'll probably get a lot of things back to us, and some things that nothing we can really do much about, but where we get that information, we'll share that with partners who might benefit from it, but we'll use that to inform, any next steps that we're going to be engaged in. So, but we'll let the board know, so if you want to pop out on a 6 p.m. or on a Wednesday or Thursday, that'll be actually the days after our board meeting. So we're going to have this team's going to be busy. So we're going to have a board meeting Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then Juneteenth we'll be off on Friday. But we'll probably be out on Saturday and Juneteenth events too. So
What are you doing in Juneteenth?
I have to look at where we are, but I think at the
Oh, you
cultural.
have a table,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
so
cultural
it's
center.
important. There's 40 tables for Juneteenth. They're shutting down Rensselaer Street,
Bless
Yeah.
you. God bless you.
bigger than last year.
We'll do some youth engagement. It's something that we had planned for last year or the year before. We had some birdhouse kits to give the kids. We actually have paintless markers, so they can color on them, and we don't have to worry about the cleanup of paint all over the place. So, but we'll be hopeful for good weather. And then the last page is just our website views and our office visits. I've amended some of these website view numbers because I was pulling the wrong analytics, but I'm happy to have, these are better numbers. So it's like Google Analytics is always changing, and I have to find a number somewhere else every time. And then last month we had 10 office visits in addition to the 73 people we met at the home buyer fair.
What's the number one reason folks are visiting the office?
Usually for the property list, right, Nancy?
Yeah, most of the time when they come in, they're looking for the property list or an application. A lot of times people will just call to find out where they're not making their number.
So we don't have a lot of door-to-door stuff, but we can also, especially for the community engagement committee, we collect zip codes and then we put them into our system and we track the target zip codes, and then we also list where we don't get a zip code or where the zip code is outside of our focus area, so that we have an idea as to what that looks like.
Does the website reflect the same thing as the door, people looking for the list? Is that pretty much the head page?
The journey.
I can dive more into those
The user
analytics
journey?
as to where
The
they're
user
going
journey.
and give you some of the, we can give you some of that, but it tends to be the monthly announcement of the properties available, the application process, and then the map. And so because we stepped away from eProperty, we're now, actually, I don't have it in this, but I do track it on our Monday system, seeing how many people are actually viewing our map too. So that gives us an idea as to how many people are browsing what the inventory might look like. And I think it was somewhere around 3,000 last month. Any questions on, well, we've been up to the past month?
Okay, the next item is committee reports. On tab 5, you have the executive committee, which we met. Minutes of that, you want to say anything about that?
No, I think the only thing that we talked about was that in, last month when we did the legal services contracts, what we left off was the alternate for Kenny Shelton, Lipton Nowak, because I wanted to be here in case you had any questions about that. It wouldn't be backing up what the Whiteman team does, because they have a phenomenal team over there. But we did want to have a backup to Brian Rohan and the Rohan Law Group. In the past, we had used Wallace Turner, but outside of any contract or procurement, just as an alternate. But this time, because we did get a bid, we wanted to approve those. Their prices were really competitive. One of the partners there had experience with the Syracuse Land Bank, and so we felt that they were well suited. They're not in the market, but it's the type of work that we need them to do. We can easily accomplish on conference calls and shuffling paper around. So we'd like to have them as a backup there. We did look at one other attorney who submitted, but the executive committee, when we reviewed that, if you remember, was not in favor of moving ahead with that group. So I think was the only thing was just an update on that. And then we did talk about assigning Caroline to a committee, governance, if you're so inclined.
Sure.
Thank you. And David Rowley, who's chair of the governance committee, won't be here tonight, but I'll brief him. But we talked about that just at the executive committee this month. I think that's pretty much it for exec.
Okay, real estate is number 6.
Yep, real estate committee, we talked about 540 Clinton Avenue. There was a disposition request. The committee asked, we didn't have quorum, so it was informational. We were just short one member, but we did go through 540 Clinton Avenue. The committee asked us to go back and see if they would be open to an option agreement. I believe that they said they're not interested in the option agreement, but what we have drafted up is a better set of milestones for our enforcement mortgage. And so I did share that with, I'm looking for Sam, and he took off for birthday. I shared some of that with Sam because he was the one who had a lot of questions about it. And the only suggestion he had was that we put something there about vacant building registries or other municipal registries. And so I have not had a chance to share that with Lillian and Lynette, but.
We already have that.
Okay.
in place.
Okay, yeah, so we would do that early on in the process. So I think we said we would report back at this meeting, and since the committee wasn't there, but couldn't really make any decisions on this, that's where that stands, is to come back to that property and, consider the purchase the property for $1,200, $400 over asking, and then we would attach the enforcement mortgage on that.
We have a resolution for that.
Yep, that's later on. Yep. And then we also talked about the 90 vacant lots near Crumpkill Road in the city of Albany. We don't necessarily think it's, we keep tabling that discussion because we have some concerns about its viability for our purposes and what we're focused in on. And so Sam did reach out to the city water department. They are interested, so we're all going to get together and talk about how that might proceed, if there's some interest there. And that's consistent with our acquisition policy. And then we did not have the community engagement committee meet. Sam was on that call, but I did touch base with Mark about things, and I'll fill the rest of the community engagement committee in on our engagement opportunity, because the outreach on this is going to be important for us to make sure that we're getting to the right folks. So we are looking at the neighborhood association lists, because one thing we did here recently is to make sure that we reach out individually to the different neighborhood associations. That not always is there, the city's got its neighborhood services, but they're not the neighborhood associations, and we know that, so they can't be the stand-in. So we're now just making sure we have up-to-date information on our focused neighborhood associations to do that outreach. And there are 2 potential member leads, non-board member leads for the community engagement committee that Mark has, and he was going to do some outreach on. I've already met with them. They were referred to me by Charlie. I met with them. They're still interested. I didn't chase them away, so Mark was going to do the next step.
Okay, so now we're into new business, which is the resolutions. So do I have a motion for resolution number 19? Second, okay, discussion?
So number 19 would be the sale of 540 Clinton Avenue to applicant 2026-003 for $1,200 with the enforcement mortgage, as we were not successful negotiating with them an option agreement.
Any questions on that disposition? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Yep.
I just wanted to remind you to bring up 18 Jeanette Street.
Oh,
That
yes.
was the one about the reverter.
Yeah, we'll do that after this. Yeah, Lynette had just somebody who reached out, but we'll show Phyllis in afterwards.
Okay. So all those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, resolution passed. The second one is number 20, authorizing executive director to negotiate an agreement for legal services. That's 8. Have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion on the search, the caption of the legal services?
This would be the addition of Kenny Shelton to sign that engagement letter with them.
Right. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, resolution accepted. Okay, resolution 21, authorizing a termination and release of, release agreement, tab 9. Motion,
Moved.
second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
This is just the termination and release agreement with home leasing. It's already been reviewed by council. The real estate team over at Whitman worked through that, and they've been very helpful to get us to this point, so.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, resolution accepted. Number 22 is confirmation of committee appointments. Number 10, that's you.
Yes, it is.
Motion,
Move.
second?
I was not gonna move this time, but I guess move.
It's a force of
Cause I know, I've
habit. It's a
been.
habit. I like to do it too.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Good job.
Not that I did work with them. I just been moving them all tonight, so I was just gonna.
So this would add Caroline to the governance.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And if you can entertain us for one potential late starter, and if you want us to get more information on it, we will, but it was a request that we got today, right?
Yeah, so for 18 Jeanette Street, the owner completed his rehab project. The board approved the release of the enforcement mortgage, but he's going to refinance the property or do a cash out, and he needs for us to release the reverter. So he called us and asked us if we can ask the board for approval to do that, so he can move forward.
Yeah, so he's completed what he said he was going to do. In this case, do you know how long he held that for?
It was, I want to say, was that 2022? Okay.
Okay, so we're about 4 years into 5.
And we respected the work, everything is good.
Yes, yeah, I inspected it throughout the process. And his was a situation where he, had paid a contractor to do the work, the contractor ran away with the money. So that caused a lot of delays on his part and a lot of financial difficulties. But, he completed the project, he pushed forward, and he did a great job.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So we would recommend releasing this for that purpose. There's nothing really from us back at this point.
So Caroline, is this your first meeting?
This is my second.
Second. What in the world was that? I don't know. So how do you like it so far?
It's great. I'm learning a lot.
You came out long when we had the tab system, which makes
Yes,
it helps a lot.
I am very impressed by the tab system.
Serve on a lot of boards over the years, you start to realize there's a better way to do
The
it.
tabs are key.
But Charlie, we just needed a motion and a second to release that
Reverter.
The reverter, okay. Motion,
I'll make a motion.
second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, resolution passed.
All right.
Reverter.
That is the end of regular business. We do have some training and some updates to do, but we don't, there's no more business to discuss, so we can adjourn from the meeting to be able to do that.
Okay.
I move to adjourn by unanimous consent.
All those
If
in
anybody
favor?
objects.
Aye, okay.
All right, thank you.
You can do that for any motion, but that one just seems